welcome everyone here to this discussion, press conference in regards to the posthumous pardon of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. President Joseph Biden on January the 19th, a couple of days before he left office, decided to sign this posthumous pardon for the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Marcus Garvey was the founder and leader of the first and largest mass movement of our people in the history of this country. And Marcus Garvey built the Black Star Line Steamship Corporation. And that competed with the shipping companies of Europe and of America. Marcus Garvey built a paramilitary organization of African Motor Corps. These were women engineers who fixed cars and trucks and would eventually fix boats and planes. He also built a paramilitary organization called the Universal African Legions. These were men who had returned in 1918 from World War I. Black men had went and fought and came back to this country, promised that they would receive the justice that they didn't receive before they left. But when they came back, they were lynched and murdered in their uniforms. So Marcus Garvey invited them to come inside of his organization. Marcus Garvey had youth that were brought into the organization as infants so that they could be trained to have racial pride and love. So he built the largest mass movement, and he created a lot of enemies because he did that. A movement to help black people creates a lot of enemies. Here's why. Because people were coming to Marcus Garvey's mass organizations. They were coming to his mass meetings. He built a chain of restaurants, so they were eating in his restaurants. He built a chain of grocery stores, so they were shopping in his grocery stores. And he built a newspaper called the Negro World. It was printed in 3 languages, French, Spanish, and English. So if you were colonized anywhere in the world and you were colonized by the Spanish, you could read the newspaper. If you were colonized by the French, you could read the newspaper. And if you were colonized by the English, you could read it. And if you couldn't read, somebody could read it to you, because there would be people who would take the newspaper and memorize Marcus Garvey's message and then go into the bush and repeat that message orally from memory. So Marcus Garvey was drawing a lot of attention, and some of the people who had already attracted the black people to their churches and to their institutions, their restaurants and their grocery stores, they became jealous, and they developed a program called Marcus Garvey Must Go. But they could not defeat Marcus Garvey. The people stood by him, but they framed him and sent him into the courts. Imagine this. There were about 3 charges and 13 counts total. He found out that his lawyer had sold him out. Mm-hmm. The lawyer was saying, just plead, say you're guilty and fall on the mercy of the court. He said, no.
No, that's the game.
I'm not doing that.
I didn't do nothing.
He dismissed his lawyer and he handled his case. Now remember these charges and these counts, right? He beat them all except one. And here's how they got him on the one. The jury had been out so long that the judge called the jury in and said, listen, if y'all don't go ahead and get this over with, we're going to end up having to try him all over again. We're going to have the expenses of trying him all over again. And I'm trying to go on my vacation. So you don't need to convict him on everything, just one thing. 2 hours later, after hours and days of deliberating, 2 hours later, they came back with a guilty verdict on one of the counts. And that count was using the mails to defraud. And so, what was that? There was this empty envelope that had the Black Star Line stamp on it, nothing inside the envelope, and a man claimed that he thinks it might have been something about the Black Star Line. He wasn't sure. But he thinks it had something to do with the Black Star Line. We call it not a scintilla of evidence that any wrongdoing had been done, but they found him guilty. And then the judge gives him 5 years in Atlanta Penitentiary, $1,000 fine, the cost of the court. So Marcus Garvey was taken to Atlanta Penitentiary. But remember, he's got a mass movement of millions of people. Every day the streets were tied up with people in those streets protesting. Every day letters are being sent to the President of the United States. Free Marcus Garvey, free Marcus Garvey, pardon Marcus Garvey, commute Marcus Garvey's sentence. After about 2 years and 9 months, Calvin Coolidge commuted Marcus Garvey's sentence. But they were trying to figure out a way to keep him from getting back to his headquarters. They didn't want to commute his sentence, let him out of jail, and then let him go back to work. They wanted to figure out how to get him out the country. So even though his sentence was commuted, they had to sit there and figure out how to get him sent out of the country. So they secretly organized to have him deported from New Orleans. But Marcus Garvey had people in every agency looking at everything that was going on, and they told the people, the U.N.I.A., that Marcus Garvey was going to be deported from the United States in Louisiana, and so New Orleans. So they went down to New Orleans at the dock, and they saw the Honorable Marcus Garvey boarding the ship. And they were like, "Hey Garvey, what you want? What you want us to do?" And he said, in a poem, it goes like this. It's called Keep Cool. He said to the people, "Suns may set and suns may rise upon many gloomy lives. Some say, what's the use to try? Life is awful hard and dry. If they bring such news to you, this is what you ought to do. Let no troubles worry you. Keep cool, keep cool. Don't get hot like some folks do. Keep cool, keep cool. If they put you in a flame, though you should not bear the blame. But what's the use in raising Cain? Keep cool, keep cool. Let no troubles worry you. Oh no, don't get hot like some folks do." And the way and the reason he could encourage them not to fight, because he saw that the military, the Navy, was right there, ready to mow them down with machine guns, the 5,000 that had assembled. He knew that there would be a bloodbath, and he knew the struggle wasn't over. So, 2 years, 9 months, he was deported. He went back to Jamaica. When he went to Jamaica, he hit the ground running.
Okay.
He laid the foundation for Jamaica's independence. So in Jamaica, you know what he's known as? Somebody tell me.
First national hero.
First national hero. Like your first national hero is George Washington?
What?
Jamaica's first national hero is Marcus Garvey.
What?
He laid the foundation for Jamaica's independence.
He is known again as
The
in
first,
Jamaica
the first national hero of Jamaica.
in comparison to George. Washington.
Yes.
First national hero.
Right on.
That's right.
Yeah, so in
Thank you.
Jamaica, there's a big shrine. It is the most beautiful shrine where they have, well, here's what happened. He left Jamaica because he knew that African students who wanted to go to school or to a university, if they were colonized by the French, they would go to Paris. Colonized by the British, they would go to London. So that's where he went. He went to London. And he met these students there. And he told them, go back to Nigeria and free Nigeria. Go back to Kenya and free Kenya. So they went back. Ghana, he only was able to study the book, the first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Marcus Garvey's philosophy. But he took that philosophy and he went back and brought Ghana into independence. Jomo Kenyatta brought Kenya into independence. Nnamdi Azikiwe of Nigeria brought Nigeria into independence. And then in 1934, the Honorable Marcus Garvey held a class, a school in Canada, because he was barred from coming to the United States, right? So he had everybody cross the border and go into Canada and Toronto, and he held a school there for 31 days. And he taught the leadership of the U.N.I.A. Principles of how to build the U.N.I.A. And that is why we're still alive today. Let's give Marcus Garvey a hand. The posthumous pardon for the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, it filled our hearts with joy.
Yes.
He finally got justice. Now, I want to introduce you to these brothers and sisters, but before I do, I want to do something special for you. On the pardon that Joseph Biden signed, beside the name of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, it says posthumous. Posthumous.
Okay.
Pardon. Posthumous pardon. That means that you receive the pardon after you die. Okay.
Yes.
It means something else too. That a posthumous pardon is usually given after the research has been done to determine if the person is worthy of the posthumous pardon, right? It's like they need to study, because if they've already passed, then why do you need to give them a pardon, especially if they were guilty and there's nothing to show that they weren't guilty? But the research shows that he was wrongfully convicted and wrongfully imprisoned. And so this is a special pardon that has only been given out in this country to 5 people.
5 people.
In the history of this country, it's only been given out to 5 people, and you all will get a copy of it, the original pardon.
All righty.
That goes out to them. Not the flags, that hold on to those. To our special guests. Take one. Anthony Travis. This brother has been with me working to research the life of the icons, as he calls them. These are great men that interface with the Honorable Marcus Garvey one way or another. One was Dr. Booker T. Washington. The other one was Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois. And so he is a media person. He's had his own television programs. He's had me on those programs talking about yours truly, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Would you welcome Brother Anthony Travis, also known as the Tax Man. Anthony? Yes, please.
The tax doctor.
Yeah, the tax doctor.
As my Marcus Garvey leader said, my name is Anthony Travis, AKA the tax doctor. And as they slim said, I'm Malcolm X, and I'm saying I'm Marcus Garvey.
Sometimes we get lucky and we meet men and women who are actually a part of the family, the royal family, if you will. I remember years ago, I wanted to find a church where we could have a meeting in the house of the Lord and talk about the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. So this gentleman assured me that we could be real comfortable in his house. And so we went to his church, and we had absolutely a wonderful time talking about the life of the Honorable Marcus Garvey and his work, and involving young people who were able to recite and to share in their own ways what their thinking was. Would you please bring to our mic a distant relative of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, Apostle Ruff.
Thank you, and God bless everybody that's here. Certainly, growing up, I never ever questioned the names of my sisters and brothers. They were fairly unusual. My first name is Ulysses, so you know there ain't many of us. My sister's older sister's name is Ursula. My brother's name is Marcus. And my baby sister's name is Katrina. So I was a grown man before I met some cousins called the Powells and the Garveys. And my cousin Tiffany said, well, my dad's name is Marcus Garvey. I said, he died a long time ago. What are you talking about? She said, no, Marcus Garvey III. I said, oh, okay. He just recently passed last year. But we always wondered. I never knew much about him growing up. As I said, I had to become grown to learn just a little bit. I do want to say, though, thank you to the eminent scholarship of Shaka Barak. I think we ought to give him a hand for the history and for the work that he's done over many years to bring a heightened level of understanding of the greatness of Marcus Garvey. Because oftentimes our history is buried, it's forgotten, and it's taken to the grave. And it's so sad that we have to repeat history over again because somebody missed the lesson. I was very proud to offer our church and our ministry to honor such a great human being because his influence goes across the waters into movements that are seemingly unrelated and into countries that sometimes are enemies of one another. But Marcus Garvey was a friend to all, and I thank God for our legacy. Thank you.
Thank you. times we have told the story of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey so sufficiently that when some people hear his name mentioned, they go, really? He did what? 6 million members? Gave us the red, black, and green flag, helped bring into existence African nations. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was in his organization. The Rastafarians built off of his organization. The Moorish Science Temple of America said, its founders said, that Marcus Garvey was the forerunner to his movement. Yet, Marcus Garvey's movement came later. His movement came first, but they admired the Honorable Marcus Garvey so much they said he the forerunner. Malcolm X, El Haj Malik El Shabazz. Both his parents were followers of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, members of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League. Dr. Martin Luther King, he went to Jamaica before he was assassinated, and he laid a wreath at the shrine of the Honorable Marcus Garvey and said these words, Jamaica, you gave us Marcus Garvey, and he gave us a sense of somebodyness on a mass scale. On and on he waxed poetically about his appreciation for what the Honorable Marcus Garvey has done. There are very few leaders in the world. Some of y'all like jazz, you like music. Miles Davis, his parents were followers of the Honorable Marcus Garvey. The first Congresswoman, Shirley Chisholm, her parents were followers of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. The first female black senator, Carol Moseley Bronze. Her parents were followers of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. So nowhere, not only in the United States, but nowhere on this planet can you not find men and women of great movements that stood on the shoulders of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, and the honest ones told that truth. And so we're so proud of those who become members of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. So the other day I looked up and I saw this sister working hard, talking intelligently, and it was like, what's your name? What your name is? Writers don't talk like that. And a writer?
Yes.
An organizer? A builder? None other than your sister, Jerry Hudson.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. What can I say? I am Jerry Hudson of the High Park Writers Group, but I am really a servant to my people. Yes. You understand? I'm a servant to my family, but then I realized that I'm really a servant to my people. I am known as a radical. Okay, yeah, that's a simple explanation of who I am, but I'm a servant to my people. And so in that service, when I found out about the posthumous, did I say that right, y'all?
Posthumous.
Posthumous. So I haven't been saying that. You know, writers are real petty like that. They want to say it right, okay? They want to say it R-I-G-H-T, right, okay. But posthumous. pardon of Marcus Garvey, I was so proud to be in the U.N.I.A. I was so proud that I had known the value and the worth of Marcus Garvey, and I knew that we had to do work. I know that we have to educate the United States of America from 5 to 95 about what he did, and I know that that knowledge isn't out there. I shared earlier that I do a lot, I go out to a lot of schools, and I always start every conversation with a question. Yeah. Every conversation. And the question that I have been asking on the streets this week is, do you know Marcus Garvey? Yes. Okay? And far too often, I have gotten the answer no. So the Hyde Park Writers Group, led by me, we are going to do the work that is necessary to make his name equal, okay, equal to the name of Marcus Garvey, the way you all responded to that name, and the way you all responded to Martin Luther King.
All right.
We are going to do the writing that is necessary, that young people know that unlike those leaders, he had a ship. Yeah. That he had industry, and he was about the business of competing with capitalism. Yes. Yes. That's the real battle. Mm-hmm. We all live by the calendar and the clock. Now, you can be whatever you want to be, yes, but every 31 days, you're going to have to pay somebody. You understand? You can say, oh, I'm this, and bet you what? You're on that calendar, right. And I bet you're on that clock. Yeah. So Marcus was like, we need to deal with this calendar, and we need to deal with this clock. But I'm not going to go much further, because the other writer who has really helped me, and we'll talk about him later, David Dixon, I really want him to share, but that's enough. The Hyde Park Writers Group, I thank you all for answering the call, because many of you did not know, had lived all this time and did not know about Marcus Garvey. So we intend to make that different as we educate, like I said, from 5 to 95, so that his name is equal to that of other great black leaders. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
And I want to work with you and the writers, David, as we take on the challenge of educating those from 5 to 95. The reason that I have this mandate to teach the youth is that I was in a conversation with the son, Dr. Julius Winston Garvey, and he said, he's always excited about the success that we've had, the victory. And I told him, I said, I'm not going to argue with people who have a difference of opinion about this pardon, because there's some people that are saying pardon don't mean nothing. There's some people who, they ain't never got a signature on a petition, but don't mean nothing. We want more than that. We want some money, but I'm going to try and help educate the youth, right? Mm-hmm. So he said, this is what you have to do. He said you have to create a literature for them so that they can read. Read comic books, there's digital stuff that me, whatever. I said, okay. So I called Jerry, and I said, Jerry, Dr. Garvey said, we need to create a literature that our young people can read. She said, okay, and checked her calendar and said, this is the date. We're going to pull the writers together, and we're going to sit down and talk about how do we create a literature for the children. And so not long after that, I made a phone call to a friend that owns the Beverly Art Center up on 95th Street. And they have the artists. So we'll be sitting down Monday, meeting with the artists. So David, I'm thinking if we could bring the writers and we could bring the artists together, we can create some books for the various ages, right? We're talking about beginning readers. I mean, they ought to have some stuff where the parents can just read to the children. They don't have to even be able to read, you know, nursery rhymes. I mean, things that, you know, I mean, and you got so much rich history. So you can write a lot of books and get those into the hands of our people. And we can have books in Spanish. We can have books in French. We can have books in Portuguese. I mean, just whatever we think we can do. Because you got that AI now where they can translate one language into another language with just a push of a button. So y'all get ready.
Okay.
I don't know if you all ever thought that you were going to get filthy rich writing children's books on Marcus Garvey, but everything is possible. So the other day we had a program here, and I met David, and he was sharing his knowledge. I mean, he was so deep, I was like, man, that brother knows some stuff. Better be careful what you say around David. So I thought, yes, we ought to have him, because I think he can say some wonderful things about the Honorable Marcus Garvey. He's knowledgeable, and he can say some things in terms of what he thinks we need to do moving forward. Now that we've made this milestone, we've got him posthumously pardoned. Now what are we going to do with it? Would you welcome David, please?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, good evening.
One of the things that,
Announce yourself, your name.
I'm David Dixon, by the
Move
way.
over a little bit.
Actually, I'm a writer, and I'm also an entrepreneur, educator. I do a number of things, okay? But black nationalism has always been, you know, part of my entire makeup, because the way our people have been oppressed and all, we have never really gotten what I call true due process through the courts. And we have always had to actually build movements to supplement social justice for us, from the Voting Rights Act up until the Civil Rights Act and beyond. So Marcus Garvey in particular, with his international perspective against European imperialism and European colonialism, he was basically a strong voice for all of those who were under the domination of Europeans, okay, particularly on the African continent and also blacks here in America. And he was the magnet that could pull black Americans with Africans together in a economic solidarity type apparatus whereby we could all work together and we could benefit from the mineral and resource wealth of Africa, as opposed to letting Europeans take that mineral resource wealth and take it back to Europe and make the Western world rich.
Here, here.
And so this is why Garvey was so threatening, because they knew that if his ships were able to do trade, import and export trade, then we as a people would have a land base that we could identify with like everybody else who come into this country, and we would be successful financially.
Yeah.
So in other words, in order for Europeans to keep their financial domination, they had to figure out a way how they could destroy Garvey.
Okay. All right now.
Without, and the fact that he had a military organization, a paramilitary organization, that probably kind of frightened him too. But what really frightened him was the fact that if African people were able to take control of those minerals and wealth underneath the ground of Africa and all, and it could benefit black Americans here and Africans on the continent, we would get rid of what they call a European neo-colonialism. Because the neo-colonialism is nothing but a cover for subliminal racism. It was a new form of colonialism, But nevertheless, it was colonialism. And see, you don't have to put chains on a person if you actually have access to their assets and resources, financially and all, you don't have to physically chain them. So even though the African nations received independence in the early 60s through the United Nations and all, still the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund hold the purse strings of Africa and all the rest of the third world. At the end of the Second World War, these crackers were so slick to that, they built a system whereby they would always keep control of your assets. If you have 60% of your assets in France and Paris, and you can't even touch your assets without going to them, well then you're not really independent. You're not really free, actually, really. And this is the type of dilemma that we have, that Garvey, if his organization had been successful, then his organization would have been able to trade with the people in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the blacks all other places around the world, in the Caribbean and every place else. So it was mandatory that they come up with some kind of way, and generally they do it through a legal way and all, because other than that, nothing else will really work. So they used that on Garvey to deport him and frame him for mail fraud. And now, but the truth of the matter is that, true crushed to the earth shall rise again. Yeah. And so the fact that he's been given a pardon, now we know we knew he was innocent all along. Right. But now the pardon declares this to the world that he was innocent. Come on. Okay, but also, so what we have to do now is regroup and reorganize and then try to make Garvey's dream become a reality whereby we can determine our own destiny.
Here. I like that one.
So, once again, if we all join together in economic solidarity, we can overcome the forces of evil. And so, I'm grateful to see so many people out today, and I'm grateful that Garvey did finally get his just due. But you must remember who framed him, J. Edgar Hoover. Yep. And J. Edgar Hoover always said, wherever you see the rise of a black Messiah, kill him. But see, they didn't have to kill Garvey physically. Right. The fact that they could deport him, and charge him with a crime that he did not commit, that was enough to stop him in his U.N.I.A. organization. But his U.N.I.A. organization still lives. That's right. So Mr. Garvey told you, look for me in the whirlwind. Yeah. That's what he said, okay?
That's what he said.
And that's what he meant, actually. And so, it's not by coincidence we're all here today. Come on. This was meant to be.
Woo!
Yeah, so, good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, David.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
I just thought, David, when you said build Marcus Garvey's organization, finish what he started. Didn't I hear that?
Yeah, you heard.
Now, we have a charge from the Sun to produce these books, to write these books. Now, we'll have enough material to fill up the books. That won't be a question. We've got tons of information on the life and the works of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. So we're going to get this done. I think we're going to have the same kind of positive impact on the artists when we meet with them. We're going to get this done. But here's what's going to happen. I'm going to say to the artists, I need 1,000 artists. Because the idea is to produce books to be distributed all over the world, to wherever black children are in the world.
Throughout the diaspora.
Which means that from a baby on up, the book has got to have some relevance. It's got to have some meaning. It's got to be attractive to them. So I need the artists that can draw and that can paint, that can take black and white and turn it into color. And so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say to them, I need you in the U.N.I.A.
That's right. That's right.
If I'm gonna get 1,000 artists, I'm gonna need some artists already in the U.N.I.A. that can help me get them. Because it'll be like,
That's right.
I'm an artist, I'm in the U.N.I.A., come on, help us.
Come on.
Help us. I mean, we'll be painting murals on the pyramid. Come on, with them artists, especially them young ones.
Yeah.
Because them young ones, they're fearless.
Yes.
And when they see that they can get this done,
That's right.
I mean, that has nothing to do with digging up the gold and the diamonds. We ain't talking about that yet. We're just talking about art by those who are not afraid to use their talent. So I have to invite some artists to come inside the U.N.I.A.
Yes, sir.
I got Sister Jerry. She's a member of our division. I need some more writers in the U.N.I.A. So when I go after these writers, I'll be able to say, I've got David, I've got Jerry, I got,
Yeah.
and we ever straighten that out?
I got moms, I got.
Yeah. Mom, where's mom?
So Jerry, before we leave here today,
Yes,
I need these
Cassandra,
names.
yes,
I need these names, I need
Okay.
these telephone numbers, I
Joy.
need this contact information.
Wow.
I gotta get them signed up.
Wow.
'Cause as David said, we are going to complete that mission since we know it. It'd be different if we didn't know. Nobody knew, man. What did Marcus Garvey do?
Right.
I don't know, man. What did he just came and left? No. He built a foundation upon which we can still stand upon. Those who have the integrity and the determination to free our children. I know we got to be sick and tired of seeing all this violence going around,
Thank
you know,
you.
selling crack and
Thank
selling drugs and fentanyl and whatnot, when they could be working in diamonds and...
Woo-hoo. That's right.
All right, now, so we're going to take care of this membership before the night's over with. See the woman in the back with the red, black, and green on? I need you to come forward to say hello to our brothers and sisters. Multi-talented woman,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
actress,
Yes.
Writer. Yeah.
dancer,
Yeah.
and she's our lady president. You come in the U.N.I.A., sisters, she'll work with you, and you all will work with her. Sister Georgia Banks, would you say something to them?
Thank you, Brother Shaka. When I first joined the U.N.I.A., oh gosh, I think it was 2012, 2013, one of those years. And when I found out, oh, excuse me, thank you.
No, move over so I can take a picture.
Oh, so you can take a picture. Oh, but you ain't said nothing.
Thank you, thank you.
And I realized just from looking at some of the poems and some of the different artistic things that Marcus Garvey did, I said, oh, gee, this is great. Because this is a place where you can bring your talents, you know, just bring your strengths, bring your giving, bring your family, right here to U.N.I.A., just like Brother Shaka said. So Brother Shaka does a poem, well, I'm not gonna, well, he does a poem that just, people just, so I'm just saying, with the talents. So when I came on and started singing the anthem, that was one of the key things, you know, that I love doing. I won't do it without his permission. But that's just opens up a whole lot of love and unity, and that's what we're all about. Humanity, unity, family, all the leaves. Okay, so I just thank you for letting me just breathe up here, because you know I work a lot, and I'm you know working, doing things. Now one thing though, when I was noticing the poems, when we do our children programs, we conducted a reading once. As you know, some of those poems are really deep, and so you have to also explain them to the children sometimes. And they just loved them, so they got together, and we should do that again. I'll be in touch with you on that. So we had a poetry event with the children, and it was just phenomenal. So I'm just thanking you all. I'm just loving this. I'm just feeling the red, black, and green while I'm up here. And so, Brother Shaka, you know, I just keep going like you. Is it too early to? Well, that's at the end, toward the end. I'll sing it.
I love your voice. Yes, sing it.
We'll call you.
Okay.
At the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's gonna bring me up to sing the anthem later, guys.
And then, no, you can do that and then bring your husband up.
Oh, wonderful.
Nice.
Okay. All right.
Do we need to stand?
Thank you.
Nice.
Well, if you'd like to stand, I was just gonna, okay. We usually stand because it is an anthem.
Okay.
And sometimes we have the words out for everyone, because it's actually 4 verses, I only learned 1. So, all right. This song, when I sing it, I actually can feel a spirit. I mean, really, you know. Ethiopia, the land of our fathers, the land where the gods long to be. When storm clouds at night suddenly gathers, our armies come rushing to thee. We must in the fight be victorious when swords are thrust onward to gleam. For us will the victory be glorious when led by the red, black, and green. Advance, advance to victory, let Africa be free. Be free, be free. Advance to meet the foe. Advance to meet the foe. With the might of the red, the black, and the green. With the might of the red, the black, and the green. Thank you all. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, a man of my heart. A man that I made up, well, I didn't make up the song, but I stole the song from Natalie Cole about him. I was walking alone, minding my business, and out of an orange-colored view, flash, bang, Alakazam, I took one look at you.
You said you weren't going to embarrass me.
Without further ado, this is my wonderful husband, Clyde Christopher Banks.
I just want to say thank you all for coming out today for this event. It's very important. I want to say thank you to our membership, our officers of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, African Communities League, and also, of course, the members of the press, our strong supporters here in Chicago of Marcus Garvey and the U.N.I.A. So thank you all so much for coming out. My name is Brother Clyde Banks. I'm president of one of 2 divisions here in Chicago. Division 429, also known as the Garvey Nkrumah Memorial Progressive Division of the U.N.I.A. And we also have our sister organization, Division 401, the Sir Isaiah Mortar Division. He was a businessman from Belize who thought Garvey was right on the money, and he made sure that he bequeathed land and funds for Garvey to continue his movement, because he understood, as thousands and millions did around the globe, that Garvey had the right idea. But on January 19th, of course, which we're here for today, the President Joseph R. Biden gave a pardon to the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. This was on his last day in office before he turned over the keys to the House to that other guy. And it was something that we were ecstatic about, for it did vindicate in a lot of people's minds that didn't understand the truth behind what Garvey did for us. His works, words, and deeds were just tremendous to our people. Brother Shaka does a great job in terms of talking about some of those works, words, and deeds. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. So if you really start to study the life of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, you'll really understand in depth what he meant for us as a people. He wasn't just looking for enrichment of his particular family or even from his folks in Jamaica, but he wanted to look at that time, 400 million strong all over the globe. Right now, that number is about 1.7 billion all over the globe. So you can imagine if he'd been left to do what he did best, be a publisher, a writer, a master orator, and a master organizer.
Yes.
You can imagine what, the federal government here in the United States, the Bureau of Investigation through J. Edgar Hoover, as we heard earlier today, and also governments all around the globe, conspire to make sure that he did not rise above the areas where they needed to keep people down. But he lit that spark, and I consider ourselves, and he talked about this, our cubs. If you're going to stop the lion, you're not going to stop our cubs. I consider myself one of those cubs. And because that fire is still lit, we know that people will continue to look at those works, words, and deeds and make sure that they're focusing on the collective of all of our people throughout the globe, as opposed to, again, they're just a little sphere in the neighborhood or even in their city, because it's much, much bigger than that. We're missing the boat if we don't connect the black dots, because that is where our strength is. Africa certainly has its advantages. We have a lot of things that we can bring to the table as well as Africans in North America. These are the things that the Garvey set for us to do, to make sure that we are uplifting our people everywhere. We need to make sure that we consider science par excellence, because that is where we're going to get to where we need to be. We can't leave people behind. So we have to make sure that we look at the underbelly as well as those at the top, so that we are lifting the whole boat as opposed to just one talented tenth or whatever some of those platoons were back in the day for some of the other leadership, as they're called. So again, I thank everyone for coming out. This is a vindication. We wanted a full exoneration because he did nothing wrong, but we've already exonerated the Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. So we appreciate your thoughts and prayers, and we want to make sure that we continue this dialogue, but not only dialogue, the work. As Brother Shaka talked about, we need to continue the writings. There are volumes and volumes and volumes of Garvey sending correspondence overseas, down in Central and South America, in the West Indies, as well as in North America. So he really set an example for the written word. Basically, you have a scenario where you can read, but if you can write, now you're going to be miles and miles ahead. So we want to thank you all for coming out, and we look forward to working with you in the future. I think we've got a few applications for those of you who might want to join. It's only $46 per year. Again, that's just the tip of the iceberg, but we want to make sure that we are able to utilize your skills, talents, and gifts, because that's most important. The $46 is really not what we're looking at. We want to make sure that you can be counted amongst those cubs. You all have got the fire in you. You've got so many talents. I don't think there is a talent on the planet that we do not have as a people.
Yes.
And so if we were to utilize that for the upliftment of our people as opposed to giving it away, for a paycheck or whatever, it's no telling where we'd be. But thank you all so much for coming. I'm Clyde Banks at your service.
Briefly, you mentioned the media. We're trying to get the media to do exactly what y'all are doing from another lane. So what I refer to us as 360 of us, and each one of us is in some kind of lane. So you're in the media lane. My lane is I deal with follow the money from A to Z. Also, I'm going to read you briefly what the other media people that we're working with are saying, and see how we can collectively work together with this. The person that I'm talking about, I know he knows who I'm talking about, is Miss Wanda Carter.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody know who she is. Okay, I don't think I need some glasses. This is quick. Some whites and other cultures do not want to see black Africans as equals, or that they have achieved more than they have, or feel they are replacing them. And those that have doubts are silent because they do not want to lose their place in this racist structure. But based on our population, I'm gonna repeat that, based on our population and sacrifices that we learned from Marcus Garvey, the fact we helped build this country as free laborers, we are not a DEI. Are you all familiar with DEI is? We already have equal rights to be any place based on our percentages. We didn't do all of that for that label to be labeling us DEI,
Right.
to be put on us like we are being granted favors. We didn't just fight and struggle for others. You see my hat there, I'm a veteran. We didn't fight to make this a better country for everybody else but us. So follow the money from A to Z, 100%. Wake up, black Africans. Forward march. Let's start paying attention to who we are. Keep sharing our resources and who is attempting to use us. Negative comments. Here's what I'm asking the media to do. Whatever negativity that comes out of anybody else's mouth, it ain't about them. I got a friend that says, if you know who they are, let me know, I'm gonna kick their derriere. So we're not talking about them. You and I have to unite together. So what we're suggesting, change the message. So critical race theory and DEI, whoever's know how to be signified, who know how to do poem, take those same acronyms and make them positive. Now this is the last part of it. Even if only one black African in that place, if only one person is, like for instance, Harvard, since DEI, Harvard is already, we had 26 blacks at Harvard. We had 64 Hispanics, and the rest was other. Since DEI, we got 16 blacks and 46 Hispanics. Now my concern is only about us. The professor at Harvard said that the 16 blacks have a problem because the pressure's on them. We're saying the pressure was on Marcus Garvey for you to get there. So how do we make sure you understand you're not there because of you, you're there because of us? So we got to start teaching that. So what we're saying, affirmative action, I'm finished real quick. Affirmative action means you're there to teach and learn. You're no longer a token. You're there to teach and learn. Wherever we go, your population says you have a right to be there, and you're also there to teach and learn. Now we're spreading that throughout the whole diaspora today. Yes. So I want you to make me, with your drawings, like Barak said, make me Superman, holding the world up throughout the whole diaspora.
Writers, we need a play. We need a Marcus Garvey play. Quickly, because I know.
We do, that's right. We do, yeah. Quickly. He's right. Quickly.
Q, you're a writer, right? Q, yes, because
we do.
You can educate so many, so fast, running hundreds and thousands through a play or a theater.
Absolutely.
What was the name of that one about the American politician that they had this? Hamilton.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Did that do okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it made the people involved very successful in terms of their personal lives.
And
We gotta define success.
Okay, but we'll do that later.
And when we start talking about a play, we have to have actors and actresses, right? And they sung most of the time during that play of Hamilton. So I just want us to think big. And so I was hoping that we would be through about this time. If there's any other questions, I'll entertain them. Other than that, we're going to go back here and get something to eat. So don't hold us
One last question.
hungry.
One last question.
Wait, to use it right, this is very important. They hear me say it all the time. You've got to learn to tell that long story short.
There it is.
Okay,
I'll
that long story has got to be told short.
Touche. Now, can I ask a question? I agree with you.
Okay?
So you don't get no
So
negative.
right, you gotta turn that 300 words sometimes
You
into
made
50
your point.
words.
Can I go with my
Okay,
question?
all right,
You made your point. I agree with you. I humbly agree with you now. So now my question to you all, us, since we're spending our money on DEI that people don't want to do business with us, why are we spending money with them and don't get none of it back? And we're not discussing where we're spending our money with each other. Let's talk about it and strategize how to deal with that. I got 50 companies right now that's doing away with DEI for us. So let's strategize on how to fix that with what you're talking about. One last point, I got media people that we've signed up, so I want to connect us. And I mentioned lanes, so I'm in one lane, you all in another, but the whole diaspora needs to focus on throughout the whole world. We are the shit, pardon my French.
I love it.
All right. You had a comment or a question?
Yes, I have a comment.
Sure.
I've learned so much tonight. My name is Elder Paula Watson, and it was so interesting tonight. I am a writer, and I'd like to know, how can we get information about Marcus Garvey? I wrote some things down already, but do you have some written information already to learn about him so that I can have something to go through to make a play?
There will be an easy way
I have emails and.
to do that.
Yeah.
If we can get together with you, because Brother Clyde said he has some applications, come inside of the U.N.I.A. and you have access to everything. Not only that book that they're selling back there,
No, that's not good.
yeah, but tons of information will be made available to you, okay?
Okay.
See him after.
I'm interested in joining tonight.
Mom, your hand went up too?
I'm interested in joining your room because I went to Ensemble, and although we had a lot of black history, they still made Marcus Garvey sound like he was a villain. I remember that.
Woo!
And so, yeah, they made, in Ensemble, they made us think that he was a villain.
Who did that?
Wow.
Pardon?
Who did that?
I was in high school 100 years ago. I do not remember
Who the day was.
who the, yeah.
You had his hand up.
I just wanted to make a statement. I want all of us to realize this here. That slave trade took the most powerful, most beautiful, most strongest, most richest people out of Africa. And we are the descendants of those people, so we're the strongest on this planet. We inherit that because of persecution, degradation, all that kind of stuff. They took the best out and we mold ourselves into the most vicious, powerful steel you can see. But again, don't forget those people that took out of Africa was not weak, they were not blind, they were not deaf, they was able to build this country, they were strong, they were intelligent, and we are that descendant. We are those descendants. I just want us to realize that ourselves. And everybody's scared of us.
Yeah.
Who was the young man with you?
My son.
Your son?
Oh, nice.
Thank you for bringing him.
No, and
Nice.
everybody, the world is scared of us too.
I
The
know.
world is scared of us.
I believe that.
Anywhere you go on this planet, they look at you
Yeah.
different than do anybody else.
Yeah.
We just don't produce what we are.
Hold on one second. Can we get a father-son membership? See, because they used to join the U.N.I.A. as families. Because it has something for everybody. It has choirs, it has bands, it has soldiering, it has cadets, it has Girl Scouts. I hope you all will consider that.
One was already asked.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm gonna say this, that young man, I'm just gonna ask you, always start with a question. Young man, have you heard things today that you never heard before?
Yes.
See, I was like a lawyer, wasn't I? I knew what the answer was gonna be, long story short. And don't you think it was valuable in your life?
Yeah, I'm very grateful.
That's what's up, okay.
Well, you a lawyer?
Right. I'm done. I knew the answer.
Yeah, I just wanted to,
Excuse me.
I'm sure that we will have many reminders throughout the rest of this year
Oh, yes.
and the next few years of the clear and present danger that is in the White House.
That's right.
But I just received an article today that an agency of the Pentagon, the Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, has ordered the suspension of Black History Month as well as Holocaust events. And I say that to say this, and the LGBTQ and all of that, but we should not be afraid of allies, because there was a time when the Jewish and the blacks got together.
Right.
We should not be afraid of allies,
Right.
because we already know the Hispanics have sold us out. Somebody said we did the fighting, not just for others to live well, but we ought to remember that all of us have a vested interest, because there is surely a clear and present danger against the black community in particular. And I love the Jews say never again, and I think we shouldn't be afraid to allies.
All right.
Anybody that will support us.
Brother David, I'm sorry, Brother David's next.
Like you were saying earlier, everybody's afraid of us. You know that because if you study the history and you see what happened in East Berlin with Jesse Owens and Red Metcalf, when Hitler was in power there, Metcalf took the gold. I'm sorry. Jesse took the gold and Metcalf took the silver in Berlin, Nazi Germany. You're not afraid of us. You better believe they're afraid of us, man.
Because we can win under the worst circumstances. And so we can win under the worst circumstances.
Yeah, let's strategize how to win. That should be our conversation.
Strategy.
Me and you keep giving each other history. Let's fix this shit. It's time for me and you to strategize, like you're trying to get more members, departmentalize, and fight every issue from A to Z that's affecting me. So you and I can have a conversation on a regular basis now. I don't need to keep giving you history.
Right.
You don't need to keep giving me history. We all know that. Marcus Garvey said all of us. Let's fix this shit.
All right. Repeat after me. May the Lord watch.
May the Lord watch
Between me and thee. While we are absent. One from another. One God. One aim. One destiny. Africa. For the Africans. Those at home. And those abroad.
Marcus Garvey words come to pass. Marcus Garvey words come to pass.
May I say something to you to give you a true knowledge of yourself and life, so that the same glory and success attained by other men who understand themselves may be yours. Man in the full knowledge of himself is a superb and supreme creature of creation. When man becomes possessor of the knowledge of himself, he becomes master of his environment, the captain of his own ship, the director of his own destiny, the accomplisher of his own ends. Man should understand himself because man is full of knowledge, and this knowledge is a gift of nature. When Mother Nature created man, she deprived him of nothing. He was given the faculty of understanding all things around him. And this faculty for understanding has not been taken away from him. None of his senses have been taken away from him. So there is no excuse for the black man in lacking the knowledge that man is used to beautify the world and produce all that he needs for his happiness and